I started Coffee with Humans as a way to make meaningful connections. See, I believe when people on individual journeys meet together, real good can come from that. And in that sacred moment, we have the opportunity to do three things. Name reality and describe the future we want. Create or recreate ourselves, moving us to the reality we describe. And destroy things for our good by moving on from that which no longer serves us. That's the essence of Coffee with Humans, sharing the journey and making the world a better place.
Hey, we are live here with Matt Moorman, my new friend. We don't even know each other yet. This is Coffee with Humans live here on a Tuesday night. Welcome to our viewers. Matt, also welcome to Coffee with Humans.
Hey, Jason, how are you?
I am doing well. So we don't know each other, and I don't know why you clicked the button to have coffee with me, because I don't actually know why anybody does, but why did you do it?
Well, a friend of mine said that I might want to have coffee with you and, have a little conversation and see where it leads us. So, yeah.
Was there something that was burning in your heart when you clicked the button and you thought conversation?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the world right now, and love to share my story a little bit and kind of wrap out with you about that, and kind of go from there. I mean, the world's definitely a different place right now. So
yeah, that's totally true. Which we had the opportunity to talk just very briefly before we get on this, and that's why I started with coffee. That's why I started Coffee with Humans. It was a way to connect with people around the world, really, just to have conversations, to to have a method of connection that seemed easy to people. So I'm making friends all over the planet. I love it.
One live stream at a time.
That's the new thing, man. I used to record them all, and then I put them in these little excerpts, and then I would push them out in these little excerpts, and each one is viewed like 1,600 times, and it was super cool. But it was a lot of work.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So now we're just live, and we call it good this way. We're
doing the live thing, and it's kind of like maybe it'll become like a talk show thing.
Oh, perfect.
The live stream talk show to LinkedIn.
I like
Facebook, YouTube.
Yeah, I could see that.
That's awesome. Well,
co-host, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you already. You don't even know me, and I got you. I feel like we can do this.
Well, I told you we're going to be friends at the end of this, so.
I feel good about it. So we'll see how it goes.
So do I. Well, that's why I asked you to live stream, because you were gonna come on there and say, hey, I'm testing out this live stream thing. You want to be on there? So you were supportive about that. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So your story. What do you? I'm intrigued by this, because I know the guy who told you we should talk, and sure. he's all about making meaningful connections. So yeah. Tell me about your story. What's up?
Oh, my story. So where do I start? I grew up in Bakersfield, California, different kind of place, back, a little bit, I guess, how do I say this? A little bit rough and things like that. They moved to Colorado, different things like that. And, kind of grew through that, and, been through different businesses, different entrepreneurships and stuff like that. And, definitely had some struggles on the way, mental health wise, and learning how to cope with that. Some of those things have, I've had to learn as time has gone on, and, going through that has been, one of the toughest challenges of my life. I'm finally on the, the other side of where I was. And, I guess that's the start of my story, and we can kind of go from there.
Yeah. Being an entrepreneur is a difficult task. I've done the entrepreneurial thing for a long time.
Sure.
And I feel like every setback is a learning opportunity, but also it just sort of kicks your ass. And
yeah, the ass kicking is definitely there, but it's definitely a learning opportunity if you allow it to be there. So, I definitely got my ass kicked a little bit in life, but you have to maintain a positive outlook in, kind of everything you do. At the end of the day, if you learn from something, that's a valuable experience in the end.
Yeah, that's what they say.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like it when you're going through it, though.
No, it doesn't. No, it feels like a cop-out. It feels like you're lying to me, so I don't give up.
Yeah. I guess that would be the case in some instances, but at the end of the day, as long as you're continuing to move forward, I feel like good things happen.
Yeah. So what did you get? What kind of entrepreneurial things have you done?
Well, I was in the cannabis industry for about 8 years. So I had a couple dispensaries, ended up on MSNBC for that. After that, I got into real estate. Before that, I did mortgages for about 8 years. So I've kind of been all over the board. It's mainly been real estate and cannabis. So you want to talk about some stressful jobs? I chose both, and then I was like, oh, well, I'm going to get out of mortgages because it's government regulation, and then jumped into cannabis, which all of a sudden they woke up and said, no, we're going to take this over,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's those things seem a far cry from one another. The only thread I can draw between them is that if there's a growing operation, it has to be done in a basement. I don't know.
No. This was a 25,000 square foot warehouse that I ended up building.
Yeah.
It ended up getting huge. We started in this little basement back in the day in an old rental house I had, and then that turned into this freaking massive giant warehouse.
So, well, that's good because I was remembering Breaking Bad, where they need a place to put stuff, and it was like pest control, and they'd cover the whole house, and then they'd move all their stuff in there, and then then they move it all back out and open it up, and it was all these fake pest control operations that they were.
Yeah, no, we had a little cabinet for our pests, but no, the plants were wide open. Everybody could see them. I think the satellite could see how much power we were using out of that freaking place. I mean, this thing was on fire with the amount of lights we were using. So
why did you get out of that? For 8 years seems like an awful long time. I don't have a good timeline of all that stuff. Why'd you get out of it?
It was time for me to move on. I'll just leave it at that. I'm not going to get into too many details with that, but time for me to move on into a new part of my life.
Yeah.
So I've moved on now into real estate. Kind of got into that, and that's been going well for me so far. And we just keep moving along.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's my short answer. So
no, that's fine. That's a circuitous route. I'm guessing. As you move from mortgages to cannabis to now homes.
Yeah. Now I sell homes. So
what do you like better?
Oh, out of the three, I definitely don't like mortgages. That would be my last out of the two. Cannabis some days, real estate some days. It really just depends. I honestly love what I do now. There's something special about helping another person kind of get into a home. And I kind of just enjoy that lifestyle now. Cannabis, I got kind of involved in more things than I probably should have. Totally my fault. I mean, it wasn't anybody but my own fault inside of that. So when that happened, it was kind of a time for me to move in a different direction and kind of, change my life in a lot of ways, I guess. So,
yeah. So you made a conscious decision to reinvent.
Yeah, it was a reinvention. Not to say there's anything wrong with the cannabis industry. I still have a lot of friends in there, and nothing but love for them. But for me, it was really just time to move on.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
There are those seasons. I think for an entrepreneur, of a guy with your desire to kind of do new things, eventually have to cycle through something. And move on to something new, or it's, you're not being true probably to yourself.
No, well, and then, partnerships can be tough and stuff like that. So there was parts on that, needed to kind of move away from. So,
Yeah.
There's multiple reasons inside of it.
Okay.
So, ended up basically, getting a real estate license, said, all right, I'm going to give this a shot, because I was a mortgage person for a long time. And I knew that I didn't want to get back into that real estate industry and then be held by anybody but myself. And then kind of went from there to real estate. And, I really enjoy it. Just, there's a lot of parts I really do enjoy.
Yeah. So you have your own company, or what do you do?
Well, I'm a broker I'm a broker for a company called EXP, and then basically, so I'm an independent broker, but I do have a company I work under.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it. That's cool. So you're a real estate agent and help people find homes for themselves.
Yeah, homes. And, I have a huge marketing background. So I'm actually looking at some different things with CBD as far as marketing some companies there, which is kind of back into my old sector, but it's a little bit different. CBD is doing major things for people with anxiety, different ailments and stuff like that. My opinion on it, Big Pharma is basically trying to beat them down and keep them away from helping people, because you can grow that in comparison to them supplying everything on, and making you go through the drug companies. So,
yeah, that's kind of in my perception, that things have been slowed down so that Big Pharma can figure out what they're doing with it.
Yeah. The government gets involved in things, and it's just kind of like, who's got the most money, and then, they'll try to knock those kind of things down, even though they may work and there's no real side effects inside of these. But for whatever reason, a law is passed to kind of stop that. And I still haven't figured out why that is. Well, I guess money, in my opinion, from the government is the reason that happens. So,
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not close enough to it. I mean, I've got one friend in who does CBD. She's got a growing operation, the big farm. They bought a farm. She and her partner bought a farm, and they grow plants and sell CBD products. And I'm a believer in CBD. A friend of mine sells CBD products at retail, and he gave me some to test, and huge changes. Really, I had some stuff I was suffering from at the time, and he helped. And he gave me a bunch of research and all that type of stuff. And I'm kind of that guy. Like, I need the research behind it to believe it.
Sure. So when I was involved with it and stuff like that, we would donate, different CBD products to, kids with epilepsy, different things like that. And just the way it worked was tremendous. So there was just such benefits out of it. And, what people don't always understand is, you might need a little THC based on an ailment to allow that CBD to react. So, there's a lot of really, really good benefits that, is kind of hidden from the general public. Well, I kind of think that with social media and just the ability for all of us to kind of really have this discussion, it's starting to get on the forefront a little bit.
Yeah. Have you found that people are apprehensive to have that discussion around CBD?
Well, definitely not in Colorado. I'm in Colorado. I mean, we're pretty much legal here in every way, shape, or form. So, what are you going to do? How are you going to choose that? Would you rather have a Xanax, which is by Big Pharma, completely addictive, dangerous, the whole 9 yards, or would you choose a CBD oil or even, cannabis to basically eliminate that ailment? Well, obviously 100 times. Well, if you thought about it, you would go with the CBD and the, cannabis compared to a, pharmaceutical that you're hooked, addicted, all kinds of things with.
Yeah, but it's got such a bad rap. There's a perception, there's a public perception, I think, with very little, I don't want to say facts, but personal experience, right? So people have very little personal experience, and then yet they have a perception about, CBD, and that must be bad for us.
Sure.
Just because that's what we've been taught. And
sure.
I break that stigma.
reefer madness back in the day. It was definitely, I remember they had these these pictures, and the mom is going crazy, everybody's going crazy, and I'm like, that doesn't happen. When does that happen? It never does. So that is it's a huge stigma that hopefully will be lifted over time, and people will basically go, man, I could even technically grow this in my house, and they may not be able to afford all these crazy medications that they give you, and then you have a side effect that has a side effect that has a side effect. I think it's hilarious that, whenever you have a commercial on, it's like, blah, 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 this has to be this with this, and you might be shaking and everything else like that. And by the way, this is great for you, like, how is that great for you? Well, this one doesn't do that, so I haven't figured out the whole, it's an unfortunate thing that basically, my opinion, the government has used lobbyists and different ways of doing things, and money has taken over our health, so that's just my personal opinion on it. But that's kind of what I've seen, honestly, with my own eyes.
Well, you've had some up close and personal experience with it, which I think a lot of people have not.
Sure.
So for me, I've got a bit of personal experience with it, and I think it's valuable.
Sure.
But I think people have to ease into new mindsets and ease into change.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that. I think that basically, if we put, the next debate, maybe we can give Trump and Biden a little CBD before they go at it. And, maybe that'll calm it down a little bit, and we won't need as much mute buttons quite so much.
It kind of felt like maybe somebody had brought like a bee's nest into there, and everybody was trying to.
What was that? It was like a hornet. They were both like, well, I can't even hear you. What are you even talking about? It was crazy. I'm like, gimmicks getting to everybody these days. The government, the whole 9 yards. It's out of control. So
it is a little bit. Yeah. Hopefully that. I don't know, but we'll see. So
it's definitely a we'll see.
Your entrepreneurial journey. You mentioned that you had setbacks, and you've got some learning experiences in there, some mental health issues. I was talking with Mark Metry. Mark Metry has a top 100 podcast. He wrote a book called Screw Being Shy, which was released sometime in the spring. And then I'm also connected up with a guy named Glenn Marsden. He's got a campaign called the Imperfectly Perfect Campaign, and it's all about changing the stigma of mental health in the workplace, primarily.
Sure.
Because the idea that we are human and have struggles, we seem to want to divorce that from the fact that we are employees and need to get stuff done. And like, we should shut that down. We should shut down our human sides to ourselves and just work and perform. But it's a real struggle, and it's actually a struggle for a lot of high performers. That we get caught. I'll lump myself in there. We get caught in a loop of, not sure if it's performance anxiety. I was doing some decompression on some of this today, which is kind of timely. But what's been your experience? Why did you bring that up? Why did you bring that topic up?
I kind of think it's important, and I have battled with this. I mean, it's been something that, it's been I think the learning experience inside mental health issues is the hardest part to getting where you can be today. I had a head injury about 4 years ago, got hit in the temple with a golf ball, had an acute subdermal hematoma, freak accident on the golf course. And that basically kind of changed my life. I worked 24/7, didn't, it was just nothing but. And then basically out of that, I ended up crashing, and I've crashed a few times through this. And, there's the learning curve inside of when that happens, and recognizing, especially as guys, we're afraid to reach out to people, I think, a little bit more than anybody else, because, whatever, we have to be stronger. We have to show this, we have to show that. And I realize I can't do that. And I have to stop sometimes, and what I'm starting to realize is my work performance is actually going up due to the fact that, I am stopping and am speaking with people and, taking that time out and having to be vulnerable with your friends and just be like, hey, I kind of need you, and that's been the hardest thing for me, to realize that that's a part of my life that has to be in place for it to work.
Yeah. Why do you think that guys have a harder time with that? Is it?
I mean, I might be wrong. I might be wrong because I don't know their perspective on this, but for me, at least, it was just really hard to reach out. When you get in your own head and you don't, I guess you don't allow yourself to process through that, and you try to fight through it, and it doesn't end well. That's been at least my experience through that. And I think that what gives me hope is the fact that I realize now that, those people that I have behind me are so special to me now that hey, I need you, or whatever that is, and it doesn't happen on a regular basis or anything else like that, but I do have to do it, and recognizing that, this is a part of my journey. It's a part of my story. And, if I can help somebody grow through that, that's a blessing. And that's one of the biggest things, and if we can help somebody else through our own experiences, that's what life's about.
What do you think that thought process does? What's the reason for that thought process? When you say, if we can use these bad experiences and someone else can learn through them, is that a what's the word I'm looking for? Is that just kind of a throwaway, or is it a belief? Is it like, how do you say that in your own head? Do you go, is it an assertive comment to yourself that you will believe it, or is it something that you just know? Where's that land for you when you say those words?
Well, I've had to learn from other people. So, I've had people reach out to me through some of my experiences, and they've reached out to me to show me kind of, this is how you can deal with this stuff. So, and it is possible because, it's gotten to the point where I didn't think this was possible to get where I am today. So if you can be someone that can help the next person through this, it's important, and realizing that, it's something that it's like having diabetes and stuff. And yeah, I have to take some medication sometimes. Oh, well, but at the end of the day, you can still perform at a high level, and you can still do things just like everybody else, and you're not different. There's a lot of vulnerability for me inside of that, a lot of fear, and I don't have that anymore. It's kind of like, what, this is who I am. And if you don't like it, then you don't have to be around me, but if you know who I am, that person,
How did you get to that point where you can so casually say, hey, I know this is who I am, and you don't have that fear anymore? How'd you break through that?
The first time I've ever even talked about it really on anything. So, this is really as far as like something on a social media platform or anything else like that, this is really my first time ever even having a huge conversation about it. But I've had conversations with my friends and stuff, and, just kind of telling them, that, it is hard sometimes to have that judgment, and because you hear it, you will hear it. And, when people say it doesn't, but I've had to realize that, and that's taken some time for me to get there. And it's pretty recent to where it's kind of like, I am who I am, and I can perform at a high level, and I do perform at a high level, and, it's, there's and I guess part of it too is, you're seeing athletes come out with this stuff, and different people kind of come out with this stuff. And, that makes it easier as well. It's not something that, at this point in my life, when it first happens and things like that, you're like, what just happened? And, it does take it's a learning. It really is. It's not necessarily, one and done or two and done and stuff like that. But, over time you'll begin to learn, triggers and things that you have to do to, to the point where, I got into fitness pretty heavy. That was a huge part of where I am today, and, really learning that balance. There's a balance inside of this, and, really trying to stay in a positive note. And, the people that you keep around you are one of the most important things inside of learning how to deal with this, and like I said, those people for me are just absolutely special. And, I hold them dearly,
Yeah. Well, I think this idea of mental health, Mark, the word comes to my mind that Mark calls it brain health.
Sure.
He thought, the word brain health is kind of interesting because it's physical characteristic. And there's so many things about our bodies that our bodies are so holistically regulated that the physical organ of the brain is affected by, like you say, it's affected by working out, it's affected by food, it's affected by environment, it's affected by all these things, which then can help or lead to other, manifestations of poor brain health. They've done studies on kids with ADHD and people who have anxiety and stuff, and changing diets has led to significant effect.
Huge. That's been the biggest thing. I'm telling you, that's the biggest thing for me that I've basically figured out is, go out in nature, go hike, make sure I have, I got to hit the gym, 4 times a week. My physical health is as much for my mental health as well.
Yeah.
I would say I was probably 30, 35 pounds heavier about a year and a half ago.
Wow.
And just started doing that. And, because when we exhaust our body, we also exhaust our mind, and that physical activity, really does do a big service for people when they're dealing with these mental health issues, and knowing that basically, all right, well, I don't want to get out of the house. I don't want to get out of the house. I feel, I'm anxious. I feel like everybody is, against me. They don't want to be around me, any of those things. That's when you have to basically say, you know what, I got to go to the gym, or I got to go get out, and keeping that outlook on a weekly basis is for me, at least, is incredibly important. But then there's also the point where sometimes I have to say, wait a minute, slow down. I need some friends, and that combination has became, really the learning curve that I've needed,
I think we all go through that. So, kudos to you. I want to honor the space that you're in where you're, talking about this thing in a very public forum. For me, I struggle with a lot of, I'm not sure if it's self-doubt or fear of judgment or something like that.
Sure.
Fear of public failure is actually, I think, what I struggle with most. And so for me to be on, have all my stuff on LinkedIn, that's one thing. For me to go onto Facebook, it's entirely different. And, because a lot of people on Facebook know me, the people I'm connected with know me. And that's very vulnerable, because, I don't necessarily have all my shit together. And yet in this space, as I move my life forward and from day to day, and, this Coffee with Humans thing, and it's vulnerable for me to be out in front, and to know, I think part of it is to know and have some assurance that the experiences that I've had and the skill sets that I've obtained through that, the knowledge, the changes that I've made have given me much, given me a value, right? Given me a value that I just want to pass along. I want to make sure that's useful to somebody else, like you said it, right? You're using all the same words, which actually I spent 2 hours processing today with a friend. This concept of like, okay, so you don't have it all together, but how are you going to move forward? What are you going to do with it? Well, how will you use this gift? And why would you be afraid? how selfish would it be to take the things that you know or things that you have and hide them instead of putting them out there? It hurts you and it hurts everybody else.
It does, it really does. Because you'll hold it in, and it's there no matter what you do. But when you hold it in, I'm a lot more outgoing with other people, friends, people at work, different stuff like that. They kind of know what's going on. And, it's been a major blessing, just the people I have around me in that kind of thing. And, but when you finally allow yourself to be vulnerable inside of something, it makes it so much easier to basically deal with. And you have to realize too, you may not have everybody. Some people think this is taboo, and some people think, oh, this is just a show. It's not. It's something that does happen. Does it make me, am I crazy? Absolutely not. But it's something I deal with and have to manage on a regular basis. And 99% of the time, I'm fine. But there's that 1% that, it was originally more than 1%, but we've gotten, down the road as I've learned coping skills, meditation, going to the gym, those kind of different things that, have really benefited me, to get me kind of where I am today,
Yeah. And I'm sure you've seen kind of as you share that fear, the initial fear of, if I talk about this, everybody's going to turn their back on me,
Yeah. Well, I don't think, the people that are around me, I don't think they're going to turn their back on me. At the end of the day, some people may, say, oh, well, we can use this or whatever, being in real estate stuff, that's fine. Enjoy yourself. But for me at this point, life's about two things. Life's about your relationships you have with others, and if you can help others, through journeys that you have. And, God bless the people that didn't have to go through, some of the stuff I've had to go through to get where I am now, but I did. So, why not use those experiences to, benefit somebody else that has gone through it themselves, and, or are going through it themselves. I lost my best friend to this, he killed himself with me on the phone, and, that was the hardest thing I've ever been through, and, so knowing that and seeing those kind of things, and if I do have the ability to reach out to some people, absolutely, my private messages and stuff like that, they're always open for people. And I have quite a bit of that, at this point. I have to sometimes censor it, but, when people do reach out, I'm always willing to talk to them, just because, hey, I get it, I get where you're coming from. And sometimes it's just that I get where you're coming from, and I know where you're at. And you're going to get through it, and that's can be huge for somebody,
And it's especially important, I think, from a person who has traveled that path, the person who's already walked the path. That's really the only person who has any business saying, hey, as you go down this path, I'm waiting for you, dude. I'm like, I know the way. That's really the only person, because everybody else is just like, yeah, that's nice. Those are great words, but you don't know what I'm going through. Unless they did. And then it's like, oh, and there's such great comfort. And I think what you're talking about is this idea that we have to be able to share with one another so that other people know it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. How is, when that person is basically like, I'm dealing with this, their family doesn't understand it. Nobody understands it. You don't, they don't understand it. But when you can kind of grab somebody and just say, hey, I get it.
Yeah.
And the questions to ask somebody, it's a different world. I don't care what kind of psychologist, anything else like that, comes around. At the end of the day, somebody that basically understands what they're going through has the ability to talk to them a little bit easier than kind of anybody else.
Yeah.
It's just the truth, because you can say, I relate to you. I get you. And here's how you can get there, and, what I've kind of had to do out of this is, going through this, I got a decent sized support group. I never talked about them, none of that stuff like that. But, those are people that I can kind of, hey, and they get it, and knowing how to get through that is one of the biggest. It's a huge. I feel like there's milestones inside of this, and when you fall, get back up, and then you may fall again and then get back up, but there becomes a time where you kind of just start really feeling like you're, kind of moving along inside of this,
Yeah. Reminds me of one of the first, it might have been the first Coffee with Humans I ever did. I didn't have the presence of mind to record it, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was just going to have coffee with a guy by the name of Frank King. Frank King, he's on LinkedIn. He has an international speaking gig, and he talks about his struggle is what he calls recurring suicidal ideation. And in Frank's mind, for whatever reason, he thought he was nuts. He thought he was absolutely crazy, and he refused to talk to anybody about it. He termed it this way, and the story goes something like this. He says, well, we could do a couple different things. He says, if I'm going down the road and I have a flat tire, he says, a sane, quote unquote, sane, non-crazy person, normal person, whatever, would say, well, I'll change the tire or I'll call AAA. But in Frank's mind, he says, well, my mind goes like this. I could change the tire, I could call AAA, or I could kill myself and be done with it all. And in every situation, Frank has that thought in the back of his mind, which is something that I don't know how to relate to. But Frank decided to start talking about this, and he actually became a comedian around it. And he talks about this and jokes about it and has written books. And he says you watch at the end of every speech, there'll be 7-8 people walk up to me at the end and say, I thought I was crazy. And I'm so thankful that you came out and talked to me about, said this about yourself. I know I'm not. And what do I do now? And completely, it's like revolutionizing people's lives, because there are people who struggle with things like this that they're never going to talk about. They will never say it. They certainly won't say it in the workplace, and they're not going to say it to their friends because people go, you're nuts.
Sure.
Right? But they are valuable people. And if Frank didn't speak out, how would they know?
Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. So, and a lot of that is basically, it is hard. I mean, I got to say there's a, especially at the beginning, I mean, I can't tell you how hard it is to really, first of all, you have to come to terms with yourself as far as dealing with this. You have to come to terms with yourself. And then there's the learning process. And then there's the realization that, the lifestyle that you may have lived is, you have to get rid of that. That lifestyle has to be gone, and, I'm trying more and more, and I'm still not perfect at it as far as, getting to bed at a certain time, these kind of things, more of a peaceful lifestyle as far as, and I guess, trust me, I was a little bit wild back in the day anyways. So that needed to chill out in the first place. So, I've done that, and, and then have continued to grow through that. And, the biggest thing is, if you're drinking and partying and whatever you're doing, and a lot of people cope with these kind of things through that, and what they may not realize is they're trying to basically mask what's going on with them, know, and when you mask what's going on with yourself, on a regular basis, party, things like that, that's causes a much bigger crash and things like that. So you also can't learn how to deal with this if you're doing that, because you're not sober enough to understand your mind. Right. So that's the next part of this is, when I finally kind of, stopped partying, stopped doing all the things I was kind of doing, that's when things got easier for me to learn, really how to do this,
Right. And it's because to make any change, whether it's kind of like a significant change in terms of mental health or brain health, or whether it's a personal shift, whether it could be something even very simple, or not very simple, but I want to eat healthier, or if I want to, challenge myself in a new position. Anytime we have to go through a change, we have to assess ourselves. And if we're not putting ourselves in a mental state by taking care of our bodies to be able to properly assess ourselves, then we will make bad judgment calls in that moment. And I think we don't. I think it's important to surround ourselves with people. I think that's one of the big keys. It's important to surround ourselves with people who can help us make those judgment calls, because it's impossible to make it in a vacuum, and it's really impossible to make it in the presence of other people who are not also making good decisions.
Yeah, it makes it much more difficult as far as going through that, for sure. And then like I said, and then there's the other part of it is, if you have to take medications and things like that, you have to understand the medication reactions, and even being sober or having a few drinks or whatever, not having that partying lifestyle. Even with that, you have to learn the medication you're on. You have to work with the doctor, and that's a process in itself as well. There's the process of figuring out who you are, and then there's the process of learning what you have to do to get to where you are today. I've gone through all of it, and finally kind of, realizing that, I have to have levels, just like you said, your body composition, right? Your body composition can be different, which affects your brain. So if your body composition is different, that can affect your brain as far as, certain levels of whatever you're having to get in order to get the right balance. I went from, I didn't get tested at all as far as blood levels, different stuff like that for like a year, to where now it's every 3 months, just to make sure, that my body composition isn't changing, because, like I said, it was 40 pounds to where I am now. All those things affect your brain health, Yeah.
We are holistic beings. Our body, our mind, our spirit all have to work in combination with one another. And when one is outside, we compensate for it in ways that don't serve us well.
No, they really don't. And if you get the wrong ones, man, you get weird, it is a dangerous cycle, but you have to, like I said, I mean, it's a combination of all the things that kind of have to happen. But once you get it right, it's, you're like, wait, I'm myself, and, when you finally kind of get there, that's a huge blessing. And also realizing triggers and, what is this happening? And, all those things really matter inside of this, but also realizing that you're still a person and you can still function at a super high level. My creativity is probably through the roof, right? With some of the things I can do on a marketing level and different things like that. And, that's a huge blessing, and not everybody can do that, and, so there's a lot of things inside of that, things happen the way it did, but, at the end of the day, it's okay, and, I'm great. Am I happy? Yeah. The answer is yes. I'm happy most of my life. I have a great life. I have great friends. I have my girlfriend is amazing. That's recent, but, all the things that are kind of coming through my life right now, since I made the changes I've made and done the things I've done, I couldn't be any more blessed than I am right now.
Isn't it true when it's almost like life, we hold back the flow of life, right? The flow of things, because we are locked behind. We're blocking everything else. We know that there's something just on the other side of that, and it's just up to us to like smash the dam. And then all of a sudden, all those things we knew were there, like all of a sudden they start coming.
Sure.
And you can pinpoint almost that moment when you said, "No more. I'm making these changes. I'm moving forward. I'm getting healthy, whatever it is." And all of a sudden, boom, just like count it. And it's not that it's easy necessarily.
No, there's nothing easy about it.
Right? It's fulfilling, and you just feel like a cleanliness of spirit, maybe. Is that
Yeah. I would say, I would basically say, I guess it's a psychic change almost.
Okay.
You kind of change your mentality, where my old mentality was, I need this and need that and need that. And, I have to have this. And, now it's more along the lines of people, what are my relationships like? How are my friendships? How important are those to me, where it used to not quite be the same, and while there's a humbling experience inside of that, there's also the beauty of it as well, that, I'm now having it's just a different person. And, when you can get outside yourself, it makes things so much, I guess it just makes it nicer as far as a life, material things will come and go and everything else like that, but, you can't die with it. I guess you could put your GTR in the, you can put your GTR in the, funeral home with you or whatever. But at the end of the day, who you are as a person and who your friends are, that's what matters the most.
Yeah, that's true. I want to give a shout out to some of our listeners. Renee Kessler, doing a series with her on summits and a book that she wrote. She says, "Hi, Jason and Matt."
Hi, Renee.
Good to have her on there. And then sometimes this great platform just says, "Hey, LinkedIn user. Hey, guys." Smiley face clap.
Got a little.
I love the clap emoji. It's like
little one of these.
Is it this?
There we go.
Is it this? I feel like it's this.
Oh, I guess it would be more along the lines of this type deal. Yeah, perfect. I like that.
Oh, and my buddy David says, "Hey, Jason." I think he probably meant to say, "Hey, Jason."
Hey, Dave.
Hey, David. So before we get off here, tell me, you got a lot of tattoos.
I got a few.
Yeah.
I got like, I don't know. I tell people I got like 4.
Is that 4 contiguous tattoos? So there's like there's
5 now. So it's 5. So I have one arm. I have another arm. I have my whole back.
You're counting major body parts.
Huh?
You're counting major body parts. That's tat.
So that's like 1. So this is 2, and then there's 3, and then there's 4, and then there's an undisclosed one that we won't be talking about on the show.
Oh. Or Willie. No, I'm kidding.
No, we're not doing that. No, not. I'm in the wrong career field now for that.
That's true.
I'm in the wrong career field for that. We can't talk about that. Somebody's gonna see it.
Real estate.
Yeah. There's a couple that know, but it's fine.
You're in the business of sprucing things up.
Yeah. Well, I do that well, but I still have there's a tattoo on my butt. But what?
I would assume it was on your butt.
Yeah, it was for a birthday thing and a bet. I lost.
Those are the best though.
I lost.
Memories.
I lost. So
I haven't had a tattoo yet, and I thought of getting one.
You want to go get one with me?
So here's my thing. I don't think I'm crazy. I went on a man weekend about a little over a year ago. Maybe a little less than a year ago. Something like a year ago, right? Kind of a self-development man weekend. And it was kind of this thing where, you choose a name, you choose an animal name for yourself, kind of like, American Indians. And so the name really should represent who you are, who you see yourself as. And I chose, at the end of this weekend, I chose the name Honorable Falcon.
Oh.
I chose this because I love the idea of a falcon. There's very few of them. They fly high, they fly across the kingdoms, they can see really far. And then when they come down, they're in, they kill, and they're out, right? And that represents me. Like you might not see me, I'm hiding out, and I'm seeing across, I see far. And I feel like there's a few of us.
So you're an honorable falcon on your butt.
Well, I could, but I would never be able.
Okay.
Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking of putting one like on my shoulder and onto the back, like so the wing kind of comes out this way, and then spreads around to the wing in the back, and then but I don't know what to do with the head, because the head, like, I don't know.
around the shoulder.
I'm semi-serious about it. I'd love to see kind of like the Falcon is like.
Oh, you want him like in there,
like cupping my shoulder
with the wing on one side.
Yeah, so the wing comes out here, and then head comes up here, tail's down there, and then the other wing kind of comes out the other side.
I got some tattoo artists, so if you need one, I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when are you gonna do it? Next time we're doing this together, you're gonna show up and be like, "Hey, look what I did." I'll be ecstatic. I'll go get one too. We can share.
Let me ask you this: you've got a lot of tattoos. Should I start off as a sissy? I'm generally a sissy about pain. Should I start out with a smaller one, or should I just go for the gusto?
So you should go for the gusto. I made the mistake. 18 years old, scared to death. I had one of those, like, I call them man tramp stamps or whatever. So I had one of those like tribal things, but I was too scared to go all the way around my arm. Yeah. So I had like a little half tribal. It's pretty embarrassing. So that's been covered up, but then I covered that up again. So I'm finally done covering this side up because it was a little bit of a, when I was young, I was like, oh yeah, let's just hammer down on that thing in my buddy's basement. I got this. And so this happened in my buddy's basement.
Really?
Oh yeah.
By a professional tattoo artist?
I mean, he is now, but he wasn't at the time.
You are gutsy.
Yeah, I threw up after that. It was like 4.5 hours.
What?
Yeah, he didn't know what he was doing, so he was just pressing down, and I was like, are you sure it's supposed to feel like this? And he's like, of course it is. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is killing me. So that was the roughest one I had for sure, just because he was, like I said, I felt like he was scribbling with a razor blade on my inner arm.
It sounds terrible.
Well, that's not the way it's supposed to feel. That's not normal.
Okay.
My whole arm was bruised at the end of this thing. And, and then I walked outside, threw up, and then I was like, wow, this is so awesome. And I was like, what did I just do? Now that I'm 39, everything changed. I was like, wait. So the good news is, at least I can give you the right direction as far as, where to start.
Yeah.
Yeah. If your tattoo artist is down to do in the basement, you should wait. Or also, if you want a big tattoo like that, you should make sure they're booked out for a while as well.
Oh,
you don't do this on a whim. That's the key.
Okay. So you find people who are so good that everybody wants them.
Yeah, they're booked out. Yeah. You want somebody that's not going, hey, I can get you in right now. Yeah, just come on in. We'll put a little tattoo on your butt.
So where was this bet? Was this in like a Vegas thing, or was
a friend of mine?
Yeah.
She just said, you won't do it. And I said, yeah, well, I bet you I will. And I did. So I tried to do that I was at my first real estate convention. I tried to convince some of the people that were with me that it was a good idea to go do that in Austin, Texas, and said they were going to do it. And then they didn't know I was serious, but I was full serious. We didn't end up getting it. I thought we were all going to get matching, not that one, but I thought we were all going to get matching tattoos.
Yeah, of like homes or the.
Well, of course not homes. I wouldn't. Yeah, here, let me show you my house on my butt. Yeah, or a little R sign, a little realtor sign. Yeah, that would have been cute. Could have put the realtor there.
Yeah, like a release.
It's official. I can't even remember what it was. It wasn't anything special or whatever. So we ended up going and riding a mechanical bull later instead of going to get maybe it was lips or something. I don't know. It was something retarded. So I'm glad I didn't do that, but I was down at the time, and then we ended up going and getting little scooters. Have you ever been to Austin?
I was to Austin once. Yes.
Okay. Austin's a blast. So Austin's one of the best cities ever. So we got the little scooters, cruised those around, ended up finding a little mechanical bull area. And then we all jumped on that. And, it was a good time.
I think that
you want to bring me your man weekend.
I think that you and I are kindred souls when we're traveling.
We could be. We'd have a lot.
Yeah, I've got some experiences.
Yeah.
From business travel.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, business travel it's fun.
Yeah, I have a tendency to do karaoke a lot.
So my karaoke song is Snoop Dogg, Gin and Juice.
Oh, gin and juice.
That's what I do. I did it at a really nice hotel, and you want to talk about, and I don't know the non-edited one. I only know the regular, I don't know the edited one. I only know the non-edited one. And it was on a New Year's thing at this really super nice hotel. And I came in, they're like, "Are you gonna do karaoke?" And I was like, "Of course I will. Let me get in there." So I did.
I was doing karaoke in Salt Lake City, and it was my second night doing karaoke. I had some people I was taking out for business purposes. They were enjoying karaoke too. And then the mood struck me, and I've never done this song before, but the mood struck me in the middle of this, karaoke time with these people I'm selling on some stuff, to sing Kermit the Frog. Kermit the Frog, why are there so many songs about rainbows?
Oh, I bet it was beautiful.
In the style of Kermit the Frog.
That's beautiful.
And I did it. I was like, why are there so many songs about rainbows? And what's on the other side?
In the bar at the karaoke for a business trip?
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, totally. And one of the dudes filmed it and then offered me a job.
See, that's networking right there. Whether it's Gin and Juice or Kermit the Frog, that's real networking.
Yeah. I pulled it out a second time when I was at a karaoke. I was doing karaoke someplace else, just at a place I frequent around here. And there was a guy who just seemed like he was like, I don't know, it seemed like he was in competition or something like that. Bar karaoke, which seems a silly place to be in a competition.
So he was the next American Idol.
Well, maybe, I don't know. Okay. So he felt, it seemed like he was competing with me. Like I was supposed to like one up each of his songs or something like that, because we were just like, and
so Kermit the Frog, he would do Elton John, you would do something else.
Song, and he just kind of like looked at me, kind of like, "Bring it, brother."
Oh wow!
I whipped out Kermit the Frog, and the whole bar was singing along with me, and it was like checkmate. Like I'm good in this.
Yeah, you won. They're just like killed it. How did you learn that song? You just woke up and you're like, I'm going to learn Kermit the Frog song. That way, business trips, I can get deals.
I've known it. I don't know where I learned it. It's been in my head. And then I Googled all the words, of course, because it's got verses too.
I got you.
But there actually is a song on the karaoke player. So if you can go ask for Kermit the Frog.
You know what? I'm going to do it.
You totally should.
I'm going to do it, and I'll have somebody video it, and I'm going to send it to you.
It totally is, man. You will be the hero of karaoke for that night.
I think, yeah, and I'll probably wear like a jersey or something for it. That way the tattoos are out and everything else like that. And then they're going to think I'm going to do some Snoop Dogg, and here I come out with Kermit the Frog. I'm going to learn it. I got you.
You'll love it. And seriously, when you pull it out at just the right time, it's amazing.
I bet. It sounds like it's a perfect go-to when you need it the most.
It really is.
It really is. I bet it is.
Well, this is good, man. I know you got a dinner to go to.
Oh, I do. What time is it?
It's 7:27 for you.
Okay. I got a little time. So
what else is on your mind?
Oh, I don't know. We've talked about a lot of things.
Yeah, we talked about mental health. We talked about tattoos. We talked about karaoke. What's the connection through Frank?
So I met Frank. He has the Be Encouraged group and everything else like that. I have a different group called We Stay Mentally Strong that I created during COVID. So, that was basically a group that, we can support each other through those kind of things and everything else like that. And I personally reached out to Frank not too long ago and just said, hey, I really need, I'm looking for good people in my life. Good people I can trust, good people that, can kind of put me in the right direction and, kind of guide me, and Frank, I was fortunate enough to kind of get with Frank and, he's been a huge blessing in my life. I also have couple other people that, it takes a little bit of a village for me to keep me in check and stuff like that. I get that. So, so I have Frank and then, a couple other, older gentlemen that kind of, really speak wisdom in my life, I guess you could say, where I can come back and say, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm around, this is what I'm thinking, what's your thoughts on this, and getting feedback that I know there's no alternative motives inside of that, is a huge blessing, and I'm trying to gravitate towards kind of the older guys that are, they've been there before and they know, these things. And, I have another guy, Jerry, that is just phenomenal in my life, on a real estate level, personal level. But for me, it's more than business. It's about who I become as a person, and who I'm becoming as a person, because it was a little bit different of a life back in the day. And so there's an adjustment inside of that, and realizing, making sure I use them to hold myself accountable. And the blessing is I'm getting so much more out of it than I really could have ever imagined.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That's good. That's wise of you to build that support network. Without that, it's, people reach those times of change, and without a map of where to go next.
Sure.
And you're just bound to make it up, and it's going to go haywire. But if you can surround yourself with people who've been there, done that, and can speak wisdom back into your life, then you can, I think, navigate that change successfully. That's great.
Yeah. I mean, all I've known is, something completely different than, what I'm learning today, and I had a lot of good people around me back in the day. But I messed that stuff up as far as just lifestyle choices, hanging around with gangs, things like that, I had no business being a part of, and, that part of my life, I'm so grateful that it's gone, and it's not even a thought in my mind anymore as far as the people I was around. It's nice to just have that out. And then the fact that I have these people coming in, and the fact that they believe enough in me to be there for me is huge. That's a huge blessing to have that,
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it sounds like this group that you're creating, or did create through COVID, to kind of a support group, it sounds like, is kind of your way of giving back and kind of encapsulating your journey for the benefit of those folks, and then probably reciprocally as well.
I hope so. I hope so. And I have a passion for that. Like when you've gone through it and gone through some of the stuff that you go through, when you come to the other side, you always want to, how could you not want to help somebody else going through that? That's for me, that's the biggest blessing we have in life. Yeah. And it's became a passion, and, my demeanor's changed from where I was. I was an asshole, full out. I already know that, and I can admit that, and realize that where I am today is not the same person as where I was. Yeah. And also realizing that, that lifestyle is not everything it is cracked up to be. That is a fact. So
cool. If people want homes in the Colorado area, we should probably give a shout out to you and your home stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's up to you. Yeah. If anybody wants a house, you can call me 720-323-4344. Company name J. Matthew Homes.
J. Matthew Homes?
Yep.
I'll pop it at the bottom. J. Matthew Homes.
Yep.
This is not a supported venture.
Yeah, I didn't ask for this. I appreciate it, but I didn't ask for this.
Here on Coffee with Humans, I just have coffee. It's an evening when we're doing this one, so this is actually water. Matt's got some water there too, but
forgot my coffee mug.
But yeah, I just have coffee with anybody who wants to have coffee. You can go to coffeewithhumans.com if you want to have coffee with me. Some of them are live streamed, and today it was Matt Moorman. Thanks, buddy.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Jason. This was a fun time. I was a little nervous before I got on here, and you made it really welcoming.
Well, I'm really thankful, truly, that you would come on here, and I do believe that whenever two people get together, we can choose to create great things and use it for good. So Thanks so much for your time, buddy. We'll chat.
Kermit the Frog, it's coming to you. Just wait.
This has been Coffee with Humans. Subscribe to get updates or click to have coffee with me. coffeewithhumans.com.